This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Life imprisonment for tribal fight. Key discussions on tuna sustainability. And 10 UPNG Council members sworn in today. Good evening, you're watching National EMTV News. I'm Grace Papiali. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister James Marape has announced that the Tribal Fight Act will be revised coming November, and those perpetrators involved in the tribal wars will be sentenced to lifetime imprisonment. He made this announcement on his recent visit to Hela Province. Hela Province has been known as well for tribal fights over the years. Prime Minister James Marape called on those involved in tribal warfare in the province to stop with these unlawful acts.
Said you start a fight. You start a fight, life imprisonment. Trouble fight, Pablo, trouble fight, life here. You let's not stop now, you start a fight, you go life here. Sabus grandly ol tasim, no can fight. Go lo court lo grand ol tasim lord. Sabus meribly ol tasim, no can fight.
Furthermore, Marape commended PPC Hela Superintendent Joseph Tondop for apprehending almost 500 suspects and arrested and charged 300 prisoners so far.
No policy no come yet, but one time work you arrest and finish over 300 cases, correct? Over 500 arrests finished, 300 you'll give him life here now. You'll him gun by him life here term.
Day 2 of the Pacific Ministers' Conference in Kokopo. Various key issues discussed, particularly on tuna sustainability and economic returns for the region. Godwin Eki files this report from Kokopo.
Now, day 2 of the Pacific Island Fisheries Ministers' Conference here in East New Britain Province, who gathered for the East New Britain initiative at the Gazelle International Hotel. The day started off with a word of prayer, followed by speeches from the Fisheries Minister himself, Jalta Wong, who says that Pacific Island countries are all in this together for the benefit of mutual interest when it comes to profit sharing as well as tuna industry in the Pacific region.
SPC reported that in 2022, the total tuna catch within the WCPL was around 2.7 million metric tons with a market value of around $5.9 billion US. The overall market value of tuna resources is much higher if a large portion of these resources are value added within the region. Taking into account the recent FFA report that highlighted the total value of the global tuna market for food products to be $42 billion US in 2022 and projected to increase to $50.2 billion in 2028.
Now, East New Britain Governor Michael Marum highlighted that the conference is very important for the Pacific Island countries in order for them to share mutual benefits when it comes to information sharing, ideas and other benefits here in the Pacific region for the sole purpose of protecting the oceans of the Pacific when it comes to tuna fishing in the region.
Today, as I'm told, you have assembled a distinguished group of experts, policymakers and stakeholders with a shared commitment to best informing their leaders on how we can address challenges faced by fishing industries and, importantly, our commitment to owning more of the activities along the fisheries value chain. The gathering provides a unique platform for us to exchange ideas, share best practices, and foster collaborations. Together we can set a course towards a more sustainable and prosperous future for fisheries.
Now, also speaking on behalf of the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat was Dr. Salome Taufa, who made mention that such dialogues between the Pacific Island leaders will help increase the sustainability and returns of tuna fishing in the Pacific region.
The initiatives that the minister from Papua New Guinea is proposing is one of those initiatives that will contribute to that leaders' aspirations of continuously increasing sustainable economic returns from fisheries. So one of our hope to get from this meeting is to have the ministers see this as their commitment to supporting the implementation and achieving the leaders' vision and their aspirations from fisheries.
Now, while PNG is leading the way in the Pacific when it comes to tuna fishing in the region, leaders that gathered here for the East New Britain initiative have been urged to practice sustainable fishing when it comes to tuna resource. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Meanwhile, Minister for Fisheries, Jelta Wong, highlighted in the Pacific Minister Initiative in East New Britain Province that addressing legislations and reform policies for the region is necessary for PNG.
Now, Minister Wong also said that Papua New Guinea, while the country leads the way, PNG is addressing legislative structural reform policies as well moving forward in order to protect tuna fishing in our waters.
This is basically what Papua New Guinea wants to promote, hence the facilitation of the Special Pacific Island Countries Ministers' Dialogue here in Kokopo today. This is very much in line with our leaders' aspirations and visions to see the Pacific region's tuna caught, landed and processed onshore in the Pacific Island countries.
Now, Fisheries Minister Jelta Wong also highlighted that some of the policy framework will be established surrounding the tuna resources development in the province.
In the fisheries space, we have taken steps towards domesticating the tuna industry, where the interests of our people can be promoted and protected. The end game is to achieve our government's local content policy objectives when more of our citizens can participate in the whole value chain of the global tuna industry. We expect that by doing so, broader socio-economic returns from the tuna resources can be created and maximized.
Now, Minister Jelta Wong is hoping that by the time the Fisheries Ministers' Conference ends here in Kokopo, some of the unanswered questions in the last meeting will be answered, where those delegates and ministers here will be satisfied with the outcome of this meeting before everyone heads back to Port Moresby tomorrow to attend the Fisheries 8 Pacific Forum in Port Moresby. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Minister for Civil Aviation and Transport Walter Schnobelt announced that the National Airports Corporation, under the CADAP project Phase 2, it will fund airports in the country, including the Jackson's Airport.
171.5 million US dollars, where mi total assemblo kina 608 million kina. And by supporting you on next phase from CADAP number 2. I need on National Airport Corporation yet. You got some new play airport 2, but me play fund him and need on CADAP 2 project. This is airport Gurney. So Kiunga Airport by kisim help him too and need lo this ala. You got Narabla 2 lo site lo Bougainville. Right, Narabla 2 we work 2 by kisim support lo runway belong all na new terminal belong all. Hoskin Airport 2. Number 6 now, and we talk finish Jackson Airport by Kisimalpil.
A total of 10 newly appointed council members for the University of Papua New Guinea were sworn in today. These permanent council members have been appointed following the public advertisement where a total of 41 people applied.
These new members bring a significant expertise and experience into the existing interim council members of the university. Chancellor for UPNG, Mr. Robert Igara, says only 10 have been recommended for appointment among the 41 as independent members of the council.
One appointment is a person to be appointed as a nominee of the Secretary for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. The evaluation and final recommendations were conducted by Council Appointments Nominating Committee or panel, comprised of myself as chairman, in accordance with that framework, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Frank Griffin, Mr. Peter Baki in place of the Pro-Chancellor, who was an applicant. Lady Winifred Cummit of Denton's Lawyers and former chair of the ANZ PNG Group, and Ambassador Gabriel Pepson, currently Chancellor of IBSU University.
Mr. Igara highlighted that there are 4 new female members among the 10 members, and this is a significant increase from only 1 female member in the Interim Council for the past 4 years. This marks a significant and new phase for governance and leadership in the university.
The 10 persons that I had announced earlier: Goya Gillen, Gary Aupi, Peter Eafayare, Charlie Gilichibi, Winnie Kiap, Clement Waine, Maria Kopkop, Kimberly Kepore, Robin Fleming, Shirley Launa, and as I had announced earlier, Joshua Kalinoi as the nominee of the Secretary. As Chancellor and Chairman, I am delighted and privileged and honored to serve on the Council with my colleagues in the new Council. I am confident that the Council, as one team and with a shared vision and mission, working with the University Vice Chancellor and Administration, all the schools of the University, the staff and students of the University, together with the support of the Minister for Higher Education and the Secretary and the government, and in partnership with the corporate sector and international universities and development partners, we will bring about the modernization and transformation of the University of Papua New Guinea.
He thanked the former ministers for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology for supporting the university, and also thanked the current minister, Don Polier. Estagane, National EMTV News.
Governor for East New Britain Province, Michael Marum, today made mention that the province under his leadership will table the free trade zone in Parliament.
While the Pacific Island Fisheries Ministers Conference is very timely, hosted by the East New Britain Province under the Ministry of Fisheries Department, East New Britain Governor Michael Marum mentioned that the East New Britain Provincial Government is hoping to set up a free trade zone where the province will benefit from. But before all this, he says that the policy will be tabled on the floor of Parliament.
Your interventions are timely. I, as Governor of this province, will take a bill into Parliament shortly to establish the East New Britain Free Trade Zone, a bill that is delighted to entice projects from around the world to establish themselves in East New Britain and take advantage of our large landmass, large population, and our closeness to the Asian market.
Now, Governor Marum also mentioned that a new terminal for tuna will be established also here in East New Britain Province.
It is my intention through the free trade zone bill to support the government's vision of establishing the Rabaul Tuna Terminal with all peripheral support needed to support the industry and realize the potential of indirect benefits that projects of this magnitude would bring to our region.
Important legislation the PNG government has introduced is the Special Economic Zones Act. The Act designates strategic investment in development sites in PNG as a special economic zone for industrial development, including fisheries industry, which will be underpinned by the tuna resource. The new Special Economic Zone Act now opens up the door in welcoming the international investment community to invest in locations around the country that are supported by the favorable incentive packages that are on offer.
Now, Minister Jelta Wong is hoping that by the time the Fisheries Ministers Conference ends here in Kokopo, some of the unanswered questions in the last meeting will be answered, where those delegates and ministers here will be satisfied with the outcome of this meeting before everyone heads back to Port Moresby tomorrow to attend the Fisheries 8 Pacific Forum in Port Moresby. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
National MTV News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National MTV News. Hela Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Joseph Tondop stated that Tari needs serious policing in order for the people to be law-abiding citizens. He made his statements recently in Tari, Hela Province. 3 high-profile criminals in Hela Province have escaped in the past month and are still on the run. In the past 10 months so far, around 50 prisoners are locked behind bars in Tari. With this, Hela PPC Superintendent Joseph Tondop explains on the policing situation up in Hela Province.
But I'm told that 1 or 2 or 3 very hardcore violent criminals that were apprehended by police in Hela have also escaped. And on the top on the list, one of our own suspects was arrested and charged in Hela, in Tari, for the murder of a police officer in Pogra. From what I'm advised, he's also on the run.
With the ongoing law and order issues, PPC Tondop reasoned out that they lack manpower and good leadership in the force.
The problem is it's a bit of legacy. We had no good manpower. As I speak now, we only have about able policemen and women, very strong, able to really go out after criminals. We have about less than 30. And less than 30 compared to a population of if you look at the ratio of a population of 300 plus, 30 able policemen, that's just not enough for us to go out and, seriously law enforce the law.
The upcoming Yanguru Mobile Squad Barracks in the Yanguru Sausia District in the East Sepik Province is in its final stages of completion and is expected to open mid-next year. This barracks will cater for all police mobile squad in both the province and those that are deployed to the province. Mobile squad officers will now be given accommodation once this new construction is completed in 2024. The final work stages at hand involve the completion of around 32 houses, admin office, mass, chapel and gymnasium. Project Officer Jeffrey Wafi gave an overview at the works on ground.
Currently, we work inside the houses now. Electrical work MCO finish, the house we got roof finish, now floor finish, electrical work go, now plumbing too, around same time.
Wafi stated that the delay in completing the barracks was the delay in receiving the building materials.
You taking time law or some blue resources, especially funding this project, and we come going up. There's come and make funds available now. And in the next few weeks, we will buy one of my increasing manpower. Now we will buy flowing work. Now we will expect us by December this year, with the next 2 or 3 months, we will buy at least 60 or 80% complete.
Member for Yanguru Sausia and Minister for International Trade and Investment, Richard Maru, stated that he understands the delay and commended the effort put forward by the contractor Pacific Building Industries for the work on ground.
This is a national government institution. It will serve the East and West Pacific provinces. And of course, they'll be on call out to go to anywhere in the country. This is a very important national government project, so I want to thank the contractor and all the employees for all the effort. Despite all the challenges, they've hung in there and worked very, very hard to get to where we are. And we're confident from what they're saying. It should be all completed towards the end of the first quarter of next year or early in the middle of next year.
A 3-day media workshop organized by the National Fisheries Authority ended over the weekend with certificate of participation presented to journalists. The workshop was organized to equip the journalists for the upcoming Pacific Tuna Forum, which PNG will host this week in Port Moresby.
Now, journalists from across the country who arrived here earlier this week in Kokopo attended a 3-day media workshop organized and hosted by the National Fisheries Authority. Now, invigilators that were present to carry out the media workshop were from Info Fish, FFA, as well as PNG Media Council, represented by Mr. Neville Choi. Now, the reporters were taken through some of the processes involved when it comes to tuna catching in the Pacific region. Now, this workshop was really important for the reporters to take them through some important steps involved in fishing in Papua New Guinea, but not only that, also to give them a bit of an insight into one of the biggest events that Papua New Guinea will be hosting this week, which is the Pacific Tuna Forum, which will be taking place in Port Moresby this week. Now, also, the journalists were given a certificate at the end of the tuna media workshop hosted by the National Fisheries Authority. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
2 communities in the Moresby South electorate were visited by their member Justin Tachenko. The 2 communities of Talai and Koki Wanigela welcomed the member and assured to work with him to ensure a long-term partnership in service delivery.
The member assured the Talai community to help ease the current water woes and to work closely with Water PNG to ensure that water supply is delivered to the people living in the communities of Talai and surrounding Gorobe.
And the 5-year plan has Talai and Gorobe being modernized, upgrading the roads. And as you heard already, the water system is already there, but further access to water will be available to you as well as we go along throughout next year. We also look at your land. Your land and your title is very, very important. Securing the land is the key to your success.
The member also visited the Koki Wanigela community and presented a tract.
Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon go witness
Tachenko mentioned that he will be working with the local community in the coming weeks to completely seal the road with asphalt.
The good councillor and your community leaders requested that you've got a very big church programs going on, you have big events in Wanigela, and the last thing we need is dust and mud and all the rest spoiling those events. So this whole front area and the back, the roads, and leading to the church and the car park will be completely sealed so you can have many activities to enjoy here in Koki Wanigela village.
Tamara Agavi, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Moresby South MP Justin Tachenko yesterday presented tracts to 2 suburbs in his electorate.
The 3-term member Justin Tachenko yesterday delivered the 2 tracts to Talai and Koki Wanigela. The tracts are part of 10 tracts purchased on July last year to assist the people in his electorate with transportation needs. Tachenko assured the communities of his ongoing assistance as well as seeking assurance from the community leaders in taking care and the proper management of the tracts.
To help assist the community in your church activities, in your community activities. If someone gets sick or there's an emergency, this vehicle will be on 24-hour notice here in Wanigela village for the whole community to use. And that's what it's all about. The vehicle is for everybody here in Wanigela.
Senior elder of the Koki Wanigela Seventh-day Adventist Church thanked the member for his assistance.
Honorable member and minister, we thank you for the timely giving of our new community vehicle, which will help us move around the city doing the work of God and community work in support of transportation.
This is the second truck presented to the Koki Wanigela community. The first was in 2007 when Tachenko first took office. Tamara Agavi, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2770 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, Yokina was buying $0.2695 US, $0.4152 Australian dollars, $0.2426 euro, 39.04 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. The Holy Spirit Sisters, or SPSS Sisters, of the Catholic Church celebrated their 125th anniversary since the first missionary sister landed on the northern shores of Papua New Guinea. Representatives of the sisters from other provinces gathered in Munumbo in the Bogia district of Madang province to celebrate with the people of Munumbo.
The first 4 nuns of the Holy Spirit Sisters Order arrived on the shores of Munumbo on the 26th of March 1899 upon the request of the SVD priests of Divine Word Missionaries. Hundreds of people from Bogia gathered at the Munumbo Primary School to witness the celebrations. The day began with a play depicting the arrival of the first missionaries. The Holy Spirit Sisters PNG Provincial Superior, Sister Florence Uta, in addressing the people, thanked the people of Munumbo for giving their land to the missionaries to set up and carry out their work in Madang province and on to other provinces. The Holy Spirit Sisters have been working alongside the SVD priests since their first arrival to set up some of the first education and health services around the country. SVD PNG Provincial Superior Father Jose Orantinkal said it was encouraging to see a lot of young people attending the celebration, as it shows that the work of the first missionaries has been fruitful. Father Jose thanked the people of Munumbo for holding on to their faith and encouraged them to continue to do so. The Holy Spirit Sisters, along with the help of the SVD priests, built hundreds of schools and health centers in Madang province and other provinces, and also established the Divine Word University in Madang. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
Moving to overseas news now, and the issue of food security is being discussed at a major conference in Canberra this week. Experts are going to look at the global challenges that are posed by climate change, war and poverty.
It's a very serious and alarming situation, Lisa. We have around 760 to 780 million people going hungry and chronically malnourished, and of that nearly 50% in Asia Pacific region and about 30% in Sub-Saharan Africa.
And some of that is because the food just can't be grown. Some of it is because it can't get to them because of, as we pointed out, wars and the brutality of some areas of this planet. But if we're going to look at what we're growing and what we're trying to feed people, you think that we need to start changing tack?
Absolutely. As you said, it's a combination of various factors. Currently, if we look at the world food system, we are relying on 2 or 3 major crops: rice, wheat, maize, and to some extent potato. So 60% of the calories coming from those crops. I think it's time for us to diversify.
So 60% of what we're consuming comes from rice, maize and wheat, you're saying?
Yes, and to some extent potatoes. So nothing wrong with that. It's good, but we are not getting sufficient macro and micronutrients, and hence we have chronic stunting and wasting in children, particularly under 5, and this is a very serious issue.
What else could Australians then be looking at?
I think in general there are 7,000 species of plants, and we have sort of growing about 300, but as I said, 3 or 4 dominate the food system. But we have identified 150 species, of which about 25 are pretty good to be grown.
Meanwhile, talks of food security and equity will be held during the 2nd Asian Summit, where all the leaders of the Southeast Asian nations are preparing to meet.
Heads of state from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are preparing to meet in Jakarta tomorrow for their 2nd summit this year. Security has been ramped up ahead of the meeting as leaders arrive in Indonesia. They're expected to discuss the Myanmar crisis, regional economic integration, energy transition financing, food security and local currencies usage.
Australian opposition leader Peter Dutton has been criticised by the Voice to Parliament campaigners after making a promise to hold a 2nd referendum in the Voice to Parliament fails.
Campaigners in favour of the Voice to Parliament have been quick to criticise opposition leader Peter Dutton's latest promise to hold a 2nd referendum if this one fails. Mr Dutton yesterday committed to holding a referendum on Indigenous recognition if the Voice proposal is voted down and he wins government. The Foreign Minister Penny Wong is accusing Mr Dutton of playing political games, while the Liberals for Yes group says Mr Dutton's plan ignores the wishes of Indigenous people. The Yes campaign's latest high-profile advertising campaign kicked off across multiple platforms yesterday, using the John Farnham hit You're the Voice as its theme.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The 3rd Interdisciplinary Wives Volleyball Tournament was launched today at the Sir Michael Somare Stadium in Wewak, East Sepik Province.
The Disciplinary Forces Wives Inter-Barracks Volleyball Tournament began in 2020. According to its brief history, the event was initiated by wives to the 2nd Battalion Royal Pacific Islands Regiment, or the 2RPIR wives, with the purpose of uniting the wives of officers serving under the 3 disciplinary forces in East Sepik Province. The first tournament was hosted by Commander to RPIR back in 2020 and won by the Correctional Service officers. In 2021, Commander for the Correctional Service hosted the 2nd tournament and the Police Wives won the championships. The 3rd tournament was not staged last year due to unfortunate circumstances, but thanks to the East Sepik Provincial Administration and the Sports and Recreational Unit, the 5-day event was officially launched by respective commanders from all 3 disciplinary forces in the province and witnessed by representatives from East Sepik Provincial Administration. Natasha Ovoy, Trukai Sports.
The week-long Sipik River tournament held at Angaram District ended over the weekend. The Peace Shalom Football Club team from UAT LLG took home the first prize cash money with a trophy.
A total of 25 teams from all 5 LLGs in the Angaram District took part in this tournament. Prizes were presented to the grand final winning teams for both volleyball and soccer codes. Angaram District Sports Coordinator Nolan Gumaim said his aim is to engage youths in the district in sporting activities in attempts to minimize the law and order issues in the district. With the new look concept initiated by youth leader Nolan Gumaim and his committee members, Gumaim is aiming to use sporting events to eradicate lawlessness in Angaram District. The 5-day event ended well with top 3 teams from both male and female divisions taking home cash prizes and trophies worth 35,000 kina, sponsored by the member for Angaram District, Salio Waipo. Natasha Voy, Trukai Sports.
The Premier Soccer League Round 8 match between the Lay City FC and the FC Morobe Wawens on Saturday was disrupted 20 minutes to full time after a fight erupted amidst the playoff. A witness said the fight broke out between the supporters and fellow players of the FC Morobe Wawens, brought into the field and attacked officials. The attacking party alleged that the field officials are slacking off on their responsibilities. The game had been cancelled following this incident. Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now, and in the NRL round 27, the Cronulla Sharks beat the Raiders by 24 points to 6, and next week Saturday they are going to play against the Sydney Roosters.
The NRL's finals are locked in with the top 8 decided after the last game of the regular season. The Cronulla Sutherland Sharks beat the Canberra Raiders 24 points to 6 at Shark Park yesterday, but the Raiders weren't going to go down without a fight. This dangerous tackle on Sione Katoa saw Sebastian Kris sent off, well and truly putting the Sharks in the box seat. That means the Sharks will host the Sydney Roosters at home next Saturday, while Canberra will face Newcastle on Sunday, and the first qualifying final will kick off on Friday in Queensland when the Broncos host the Storm in Brisbane.
In women's AFL, Sydney won AFLW with 5 points over JWS.
Winless in their inaugural season in 2022, the Swans showed a vast improvement at North Sydney Oval on Sunday. Also yesterday, Fremantle defeated West Coast by 8 points in the opening round of the season at Fremantle Oval. Richmond defeated Brisbane by 6 points, 6 goals, 440 to 5 goals, 434, and North Melbourne thrashed St Kilda by 40 points, 8 goals, 856 to 2 goals, 416.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region: Port Moresby City, Daru and Alatau, partly sunny and fine. Kerema, possible evening brief showers and drizzles. Popondetta, partly cloudy with possible evening brief showers. In Momase region, Lay City, Wewak and Vanimo, mostly fine. Medang, partly cloudy with possible brief showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, partly cloudy with possible few showers. Kevang, partly cloudy with possible brief showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, few showers of rain and possible thunderstorms, then cloudy. Kimbe, partly cloudy with few showers and windy. Buka, partly cloudy with few showers. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen City, few showers and possible thunderstorms by evening. Goroka and Kundiawa, partly cloudy with possible evening showers and drizzles. Mendi and Wabeg, partly cloudy with few showers and possible thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 4th of September 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.